2 cautions over the final 100 laps left the race in the hands of the pit crews. Just the kind of pressure Robbie Reiser's team thrives on. The reigning world champion crew got their driver out first, twice, and victory number 2 was in the books.
It feels unbelievable to win 2 races in snow. I think our 7th race of the year, so it's been an unbelievably good feeling. It's not something I expected for sure, and to come to a big racetrack like this and be able to pull the win off is pretty important for us.
Martinsville began with a message and a very noticeable absence. Already on probation following his actions at Bristol, Kevin Harvick was once again in trouble after a Craftsman Truck Series incident on Saturday at Martinsville. Sunday morning, he was gone, parked by NASCAR, and Kenny Wallace was behind the wheel of the GM Goodwrench Chevy.
I feel strange right now. I need to get inside the race car, you know.
Once underway, the Virginia 500 became the Joe Gibbs Racing Show. Short track ace Tony Stewart led over 150 laps, while teammate Bobby Labonte stayed on his heels. Rolling over the flat, tight corners and blasting down the drag strip straights, sheet metal and brake pads, they didn't stand a chance. But again, pit strategy was the theme, and with 54 laps remaining, it was time for teams to show their hand. Stewart gave up track position in exchange for 4 fresh tires, while Labonte decided to take his chance on old shoes. With the green back out, all eyes were on Stewart, who picked off his competitors one by one. Eyes set on his teammate at the front. Then came a caution, and another, and time ran out. Stewart finished 4th, while the hard luck former champion finally celebrated his first short track title.
The aircraft that Jack was flying as the sole passenger and pilot crashed, and Jack received serious injuries.
Just hours after qualifying at Talladega, Jack Roush was critically injured in a single-seat airplane crash in southern Alabama. The 60-year-old was pulled from the fiery wreckage as it began to sink into a local lake. The hero was retired U.S. Marine and cancer survivor Larry Hicks. As Roush recovered in a Birmingham hospital, his 4 drivers went to work on NASCAR's biggest and most fearsome circuit. A 2.6-mile monster with 6 stories of banking and packs of 20 to 30 cars banging like they're racing on a quarter-mile dirt track.
NASCAR's goal is to have 43 cars on a photo finish at the end of 500 miles.
The idea nearly worked. Officially, the lead at Talladega changed hands 26 times. Unofficially, it was twice that. Racing on knowledge learned from their father, friend, and boss, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Michael Waltrip, once again made a restrictor plate race their personal playground. They charged to the front and stayed there, which was a very good idea. The scene in the rearview mirror was not pretty.
Trouble, Stewart in the wall.
Here we go. Here we go.
Robbie Gordonson at the 33. Harvick is around.
Here we go, guys.
The big one.
24 cars were sent spinning, leaving 21 on the lead lap to duke it out for the win.
Here comes Michael to the bottom, and he's going to run out of time. Earnhardt Jr. wins at Talladega.
Once again, there was no one on the track that could match the 1-2 restrictor plate punch of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
Drivers, start your engine!
At California, Ryan Newman led the field to the green flag for the first time in 2002, but it was his fellow freshman who would win that day. Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch were battling door to door for the lead when the caution came out for the final time.
Harvick cut a tire, came right down.
10 of the 11 cars made the dive onto pit road, leaving Bill Elliott in the lead. At the last second, crew chief Chad Knaus decided to go with a fuel-only stop and got Johnson off pit road first. The rookie quickly disposed of Elliott and 14 laps later found himself in victory lane after just 13 Winston Cup starts.
This is unbelievable. I know my dad is sitting at home going crazy, and my mom, but what you do here, Dad, figures you don't come to the race and we win the dang thing. This is awesome to do in California in front of my hometown. I just can't say enough for Lowe's, all the support from the employee owners, Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick for believing in me. These guys back here believe in me.
There is a reason that fans cram into the Richmond International Raceway. It's the same reason that drivers strap into their machines with a little extra attitude here, racing attitude. For when the sun goes down and the lights come on at Richmond, everyone knows that there is no better place for racing and rubbing. But this Richmond was different for all the wrong reasons. A slick track surface and a rainy Saturday night led to plenty of dicey moments on the track and hours of boredom off of it. When the race restarted on Sunday, the caution flag waved 14 times, covering 103 laps, more than a quarter of the Revolution's run.
Hang on to it, hang on to it.
Caution, lap 146, Dale Earnhardt Jr. pounds the wall coming out of turn 4.
The leaders fell like raindrops from the night before. Ward Burton led 125 laps only to be foiled by a faulty transmission. Ricky Rudd led 90 laps, but was clipped by Rusty Wallace in a battle with a flattening tire. And Johnson's bid for 2 in a row, that ended in a pass for the lead. Rookie number 2 would see his turn slip away just a few laps later. Stewart held off Ryan Newman for his second win of the season, but Newman's night would come on a much bigger stage. For 17 years, NASCAR's best have gathered for racing's only true all-star event, the Winston. Jeremy Mayfield and Ryan Newman captured the preliminary events, adding their names to the coveted roster of former champions, all-time greats, and youthful newcomers who would be aiming for the $700,000 prize. The new survival of the fastest format would eliminate a handful of drivers at the end of the first 2 segments, leaving a third 10-car showdown for the finish.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Segment 1, a 30-lap sprint, almost won with a little sleight of hand. All cars were required to pit once, and nearly all came in after a 4-car wreck at the halfway point. But Jeff Burton had other plans and decided to cross the finish line on pit road. If not for Jimmy Johnson, it would have worked.
I have got to tip my hat to Frank Stoddard. I can't wait to see him after this race regardless, because that was a brilliant call.
Johnson won the race, and the last car to transfer to segment 2 was Newman, who finished 20th. Soon after the start of segment 2, Newman tangled with Elliott Sadler in turn 1, prompting Sadler to turn his helmet into a shot put. Johnson ran away with the second stage for his second win of the night, with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in second. One final segment remaining. 10 cars, 20 laps, one very large full moon. With 16 laps to go, Newman was in the lead, but Earnhardt Jr. was barreling through the field and toward Newman's rear bumper. Kurt Busch spun Robbie Gordon, which he later admitted to as very deliberate. It set up a 5-lap dash to the finish. Welcome to the Winston.
Junior is there. Bumper tag.
Now, see, Junior respected him. He could have taken him around right there. And he lost some ground because he had to back off the throttle there.
Last chance.
He may not respect him here, though. Now he pushed up. Drove in hard.
Don't think he can do it. And Ryan Newman is going to win the Winston. What a race.
Newman led a young gun charge that saw the top 7 positions swept by drivers 30 years and younger. Working quietly amid the young gun mania was 43-year-old Mark Martin. Written off after the 2001 season, the pride of Batesville, Arkansas, had worked his way up to fourth in the Winston Cup point standings, less than 200 points behind leader Sterling Marlin. With all eyes focused on the youth movement, Martin methodically worked on a return to Victory Lane, a place he had not visited in over 2 years.
We still have work to do. I'm not focusing on winning races. I'm focusing on stepping up the performance, and that's really where the wins will come.
Memorial Day weekend of 2002 took on an even greater meaning for all Americans as those who had served our country were remembered. From world wars to that tragic September day just 8 months earlier, it was a time to reflect on the men and women who had given the ultimate sacrifice for our American freedom. And a time to recognize the real heroes with the help of our racing heroes. Ricky Rudd started his record-breaking 656 consecutive Winston Cup race, joining an Ironman lineage that started with the King, Richard Petty, and Texas' Terry Labonte.
We're going to Charlotte!
Robbie Gordon arrived from Indianapolis, where he had just posted an 8th place finish in the Indy 500 just hours earlier. But now it was down to 600 miles of high-speed stock car races. For nearly 4 hours, Jimmy Johnson was again the man that 42 other drivers were chasing. The number 48 Chevy led 263 of the race's 400 laps. But even in a marathon, the smallest slip can be devastating. When the rookie overshot his pit stall by just 1 foot, he also overshot any chance at the win. With Johnson out of the way, it became a two-car standoff between Roush Racing teammates Mark Martin and Matt Kenseth. Martin held the point with a smooth-handling car. He relied on lap traffic to slow Kenseth's charge. After 73 races, Mark Martin was back in Victory Lane, his 33rd career win, along with $1 million bonus check.
That is the hardest I've ever drove in my life and won. I've drove that hard before and got beat, but Matt was putting the pressure on me, and I wanted to win it so bad.
But the youth movement was not finished. The lights of Charlotte now dark. It was time for a trip up the coast to Delaware, and time to welcome Jack Roush back to the track. The Dover International Speedway is a tight-turned 1-mile concrete circuit known by teams and fans alike as the Monster Mile, a monster that snacks on 3,400-pound stock cars. The 400-mile race seemed destined to be won by a veteran, as Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, and Bill Elliott all took turns at the front. But it was Jimmy Johnson who was once again at the point in the waning laps. Determined not to lose another race on pit road, Johnson's number 48 stayed put with 30 laps to go as everyone else ducked in for fresh tires. Rudd was quickly done in by a loose wheel after the final stop. Elliott staged a furious charge on his new Goodyears. But no one had enough to catch Johnson. He grabbed his second win in 3 races. He moved into second in the point standings, behind Sterling Marlin. The season's first trip to the mountains of Pocono got off to a wet start, and it wasn't even raining. Saturated earth from a cloudburst the previous day sent water springing from beneath the Turn 3 asphalt. Qualifying was washed out. The field was established by point standings, and the track was barely broken in by race morning. Experience would become the key, and the veterans of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series took took center stage, led by a former champion who had